Hello all my JavaScript friends, this is the Virtuoid aka Mike Smith, and this video covers a new method we're going to be putting upon our deck class called the getCards method. If you like this video, please click on the like button below, subscribe to this channel, or leave a comment. I'd love to hear from you. One of the great things about doing test-driven development is that when you get new requirements, it's extremely easy to add those requirements in. You add the test, watch your test fail, you add your code in, watch the text succeed, or if you happen to mess up something, other tests will fail. So once everything turns green, then you're in great shape. So that's kind of what's happened here, is that I've got a new requirement that I realized that I needed to have with the Davenport card game that I'm working with, is that I need to be able to get a listing of the cards that are within the deck for each player, and I really had no way of doing that. I mean, I've got the deck is stored there and I can find certain cards, but I just need to get just a simple list of cards. Now, one of the requirements is I don't want to have the consumer to be able to have access to the physical cards themselves. So I've kind of hid that behind all my private variables. So what I want to do here is want to be able to create a clone of all those cards that are within the deck. Now, in an earlier video, we've already covered the new clone method that I had for my card. So this video is going to now create a method called getCards, in which its particular purpose and sole purpose is to get return a clone of the cards so that we know exactly which cards are within the deck. So let's get to it. So the idea here, first of all, we are test-driven development. We're going to need to create a new test, and we'll create a new test right here, and we'll call it getCards.spec, because it's going to be basically a getCards method on there. So one of the things I want to do is I now want to bring up the code itself, and let's take a look at the code in the getCards. So this is the getCards specification. So I'm creating myself 3 cards, and I'm creating myself a new deck with those 3 cards. Then I'm going to call the getCards getCards method, which right now it's got little squiggly lines underneath it because it is undefined. So the first thing I want to do is I'm going to check to make sure I did get 3 cards back, and that's fine. The second thing I want to do here is I want to make sure that I don't have these references to these 3 cards. Remember, since this is an object, we don't actually pass the values of the objects as we pass them around from one method to another. We're passing references. So you can have one array that have a reference to a card A. You can have another array to have a reference to card A, and it's going to point to the exact same card A. That's just basically how JavaScript and a lot of programming languages work. So since I want to make a clone of these cards, I want to be absolutely certain that I don't have the original cards. So I am making sure that the card that is within the cloned cards does not equal card A, card B, or card C, which are the 3 cards I defined at the very top. And that's extremely important. Those 3 tests must fail. If they do not fail, then I'm not making a clone, and I need to go look at my clone method that I just got finished creating a couple of days ago, and in fact I did a video on it 2 days ago. However, how do we know we got a clone of the actual cards? Well, the card is method doesn't look at the actual instance of the card, but it looks at the individual properties of the card, the individual suit, the rank, and the value of the card. So I'm going to now, same thing here, I'm going to do the sum array method, and I'm going to be able to take a look at each card and make sure if it is the S1 R1 V1, S2 R2 V2, S3 R3 V3 if it's a new card. Because the is method compares properties. It does not actually compare the physical references to the cards. So I should expect all these to be false. I should expect all these to be true. Let's run our test, and I'll see you on the other side. Okay, we're all done, and the getCards specification failed. Why did it fail? Well, let's flip up to the very top here because it happens to be close to the top, and it says that getCards is not a function. Well, of course it's not a function because we haven't put it in there yet. So, tell you what, why don't we put it in there? Well, luckily, all we're having to do here is return an array, so it's extremely easy to be able just to return an array. So let's bring up our deck.js. Let's keep this in alphabetical order. See, getCards should come right after here. Let's pop that in there, and woo, this is huge code here, isn't it? Wow. So all we're doing here was we're doing a simple map. Cards itself, the cards private variable is itself an array. So I'm just going to be doing a very simple, where'd it go? I lost it. There it is. I'm going to be doing a very simple mapping on the cards, because a map returns a new array based upon each value. And each value I'm going to call the clone method on the card. And again, the clone method is something that I have created on the card class, which actually reminds me, one of the things we did forget to do is we needed to update our repositories, because you never know, we may not have updated our card class, and it could possibly be that it won't find the clone method because the clone method is in the latest, greatest card class. So this is going to make sure that everything has been completely updated. And 44 packages, added 8 packages, removed 4, changed 121, and audited 417. Well, that's a whole heck of a lot. Well, that's all right. No big deal. So we've got that done. Let's go back to our code. And our code sits here and says, okay, we're going to do the clone method. So for each particular card, we're going to run the clone method. So that should return an array of clones. It should. You want to find out if it does or not? Let's run our test and find out. And I'll see you on the other side. And we're back, and hey, look at that. It has now completely passed. So now we have a getCards method on our deck. And now this will allow us to get a clone of the deck card so that we can then use that within our game to be able to display what cards are actually in the deck. See, we're not going to be doing any kind of operations with these cards. We just needed to be able to say, hey, player, what cards do you have? Because each player has its own deck within the cards, and a deck basically represents the hand. And so now I have the ability to be able to go back to the browser on my Davenport game and be able to say, hey, I've got the 2 of clubs, I need to display the correct image and all that kind of fun stuff. So that completes the video for adding our new getCards method. If you like this video, please click on the like button below, subscribe to this channel, or leave a comment. I'd love to hear from you. And thank you so much for watching this video. This is the Virtuoid, aka Mike Smith. We'll see you on the next video.